Hello everyone, welcome back to this SharePoint Site Administrator Primer. Let's talk about views. My name is Andy Hunsucker and I'm with IT Training at Indiana University. And SharePoint views are one of the most powerful features that you can deal with, and we're going to talk about those today. So what does a view allow us to do? Well, it allows us to create a set of instructions about how information from a listed library is going to be displayed. So you can base that view off of various templates, including standard, calendar, and datasheet view. We'll talk about those here in a few minutes. Different view options. How can you build a view? Well, you can set up which columns are visible, so you can set it up that more columns are visible or less columns are visible. You can also decide how items are sorted when people are looking at them. Maybe you want everything based off the date. Maybe you want everything based off the title. Maybe you want everything based off the person that is associated with this particular list item or document. You can also set the filter option. So maybe you want to hide things that are older than a certain date or hide things that aren't associated with a particular person. You can also determine how many items are visible at one time. So if you want a very short list, you can say, okay, only 3 items are visible at a time, and if they want to see more, they'll have to skip ahead to different items. You can also group different items, so you can actually sort of have various lists that maybe you group all of the items that are associated with this one particular person. There's lots of other options here that we'll deal with and when we get into the examples. These different templates, the standard view is what we've been seeing so far, so it allows us to just sort of see columns and rows just like we would normally. A Gantt view is a specialized project management view that we'll talk about here in a little bit. We also have a calendar view, and a calendar view allows us to go through and see everything based on a calendar. Now, this is only going to work if items have a date associated with them, and generally a start and end time, but we can talk about that later. We also have a datasheet view that's going to allow us to type in data very quickly. And we also have an access view that allows us to open the template in an access database and deal with it that way. We're not really going to get into access views today. That's a little advanced for what we're trying to accomplish today. But we're going to look at each one of these views in turn, and you'll get a better sense of what you can do with views. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's talk about views. Let's see how to do it here. We're going to go to the work plan list over here that we created earlier. And what I want to look at right now is how to create a new view. So we're looking at what's called a Gantt chart view. And this gives us on the left side various project tasks here to complete. And then we have sort of a chart view that sort of shows how tasks are related to each other. We're going to create a new view. So I'm going to click the List category here, the List tab, and then I'm just going to click the Create View button. Now, there's lots of different views we can create. We have standard views, calendar views, access views, datasheet views, and Gantt views, and those are all subtly different in various ways. We generally stick with standard views, but datasheet views are very useful as well. Access views connect directly to Microsoft Access. I'm going to go ahead and create a standard view today, and this is on page 132 of the book that we're looking at. I'm going to create a view called Upcoming Tasks. In fact, I'm going to call it My Upcoming Tasks. So that's going to work out very well for us. I want to reduce the number of columns here. I have way too many columns. I don't want to see this many columns in this view. Remember that this is how I'm going to be seeing this data. So I want to uncheck basically all of those and just have attachments, title, start date, due date, and percentage complete. Now, I also can determine how we're going to sort these. I'm going to sort them by due date. So I want to see the closest due date to me at the top. So if it's due tomorrow, I want to know that I want to have that at the top. So the filter option here, I can also set this up so that only certain items will be seen. So I can set this up, and I can set this up so that the items assigned to me are visible. So how do I do that? Because if I just say items assigned to me are visible, then if I just put my username in there, then anyone else looking at this are going to see the stuff assigned to me, which is not useful. What I can do is I can use a little code here that's listed right there, and in square brackets I can just say me. And what that does for me is it lets it know that whoever is the person looking at it, that's the items that it should show. You can also do the same for today. We can also turn on inline editing. This is not on by default, but you can check that. And then when you've got that, just go ahead and click OK. And now you can see only stuff that's assigned to the username you provided will be visible there. Now there's lots of other stuff here for views. Page 135 all the way up to, say, 139 is very useful. The access view stuff on page 140 is possibly of interest, but probably not something you're going to be spending a lot of time with. And then on page 143, there is a very long section on creating a custom list, which is going to be very useful for you in the future. You'll want to know how to do that. But it is a lot of busy work. It's a lot of stuff that we've done before, just in a different format. And then finally on page 146, you don't have to necessarily go through that section, but you should know that you can save a list as a template, okay? And it will store all of the various columns and modifications you've made to that list so that you can recreate that list later on if you need to. Very, very useful feature. So you can look through that section as well. Otherwise, we are all done for the day, so thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.